everybody. Welcome to the live broadcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to Kensington Church Online. My name's Chris. I'm so glad you joined us for today's broadcast. We have a fantastic service planned. Dave Wilson's in the house. Today, guys, we're finishing up our series, Work Life. We're talking about the need for rest, for Sabbath. You know, we're body, we're soul, we're spirit. If any one of those three aren't being taken care of, guess what? We're going to suffer. We need to take care of our bodies, which includes a dedicated time of rest. That's what we're talking about today. But I'll tell you what, there's one more thing to that. The Lord's created us to work from a position of rest, not for rest. His peace is in us. His joy is in us, according to His word. So, guys, I really believe as you lean into this service today, you're going to have a lot of value added to you and, in turn, go out and be able to bring life and hope and healing to everyone in your life. But, hey, before I sign off, I want to invite you to connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram. I love what God is doing here at Kensington. I hope you do too. But, hey, if there's anything we can do for you as a team, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Reach out to me. I'd love to make your acquaintance. But, hey, from our team to your house, have an awesome day. Enjoy the broadcast. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
They say actions speak louder than words. In a world where everyone seems to be shouting, could one action, one encouraging word, one unexpected favor, one selfless act inspire another and another until our whole city, state, our country, and even world have been touched by intentional acts of kindness? This September, let's find out just how loud our actions can speak.
Long week? Feeling a little stressed? Join me in this simple exercise.
Welcome to Evedis. Peace, calm, tranquility, centered. These are the feelings your wife will not have if you don't nail this gift to the wall. Come closer, a little bit closer. That's too close. Yep, okay, perfect. We have a deal on essential oils. Essential oils, you ask? A long, long time ago, 3 wise men brought essential oils to Jesus. And look how he turned out. Not bad. Not bad at all. 10 out of 10 mothers with little niños under the age of 4 agree. Essential oils will give you superpowers. If essential oils are good enough for Jesus and those matters on your Facebook feed, are they good enough for your wife? Of course they are. Essential oils. Only at the Vidas.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Kensington. If you don't know our sense of humor, you just saw a little bit of our sense of humor. We're talking about rest today, and we dug that out of the archives because we just think it's hilarious. So, welcome to Kensington. My name is Charlotte Kelly, and I'm on the staff here, and I have the privilege of serving over groups. So I am the one to talk to about getting connected into community outside of Sunday. But we're just so glad you're here. And if you don't know, we have lots of improvements that have been going on in the lobby. And one of the things we want to make sure you know about is the hub. If you're new here today, please stop by after the service at the hub because we have a gift for you and we just want to meet you. And there's a whole volunteer team there that's there to answer questions. But not only that, if you have questions about anything, there's a whole army of people out there in orange shirts who are there to answer questions. And everything is a one-stop shop now at the hub. So hopefully you'll stop by there after service. And also the thing I'm most excited about, you guys, it's fall and it's groups kicking off. So we know Kensington is a big place, and we believe that we want this to feel like a family, and the way that can happen is by jumping into a smaller group, a small community. And the next 2 weeks is when we have all of the fall groups kicking off. And in the lobby today, I have a whole bunch of volunteers hanging out there that want to talk to you about why they like being in a group and what group might work out for you. So please stop in the lobby or go to the website, kensingtonchurch.org/groups. You can kind of check out all the things that are available. I talked last week about one of my favorite things that we have here. If you're not sure where to start out for a group, I'd encourage you to check out our Alpha course. This starts in 2 weeks. Monday nights, we meet here, we share a really good meal, we watch a video, and then we have roundtable discussion in small groups where you can bring your questions, you can bring yourself, no judgment. We love hearing conversations around these tables. So that starts in a couple weeks. You can stop in the lobby to ask questions or just go ahead and register online at kensingtonchurch.org/alpha, and it starts in a couple weeks. So I hope to see a bunch of you there. We believe in small groups, not just for adults, but for kids all the way birth through age, well, I don't know, high school. This is Michael Bouchard. He's going to come up. He's our new student ministries director, and he's going to talk to us about some stuff going on for middle schoolers and high schoolers.
That's right. We got any middle schoolers and high schoolers in the house right now?
All those who slept in.
Yes. Woo. Yes, you're liking this 12:30 time, aren't you? Just a little bit later. Yeah, that'd have been mine too. So, like she said, my name is Michael Bouchard. I'm the student ministries director here over middle school and high school. Now, Breakaway is our middle school program, and we had a soccer die scheduled for today, and I want to let you know it has been postponed. So if you were signed up for it, it is now shifted to next weekend, so next Sunday. But we are still hanging out today. So at the time we did have the soccer die thing tonight, we're going to be hanging out here. So from 4:30 to 5:45, we're just going to do some pizza, have a fun game, have some. We're going to fill the building with games to play and have a message and stuff.
Because we don't want it to be freeze or die. Come on,
yeah,
that was funny.
No, that was. I forgot
Soccer
I said
die.
that last time. It's always different what I say. So come join us, come hang out with us today, and then next week we'll have our real soccer die. Now, Edge students, high school students, we want you to come hang out with us. It is not postponed. 6:45 to 8:45 tonight. Come and we're having a lawn party, so a tailgate party. So we're going to have a whole bunch of games, a lot of food for you, and some special surprises that I just can't tell you. But come hang out with us, and there you'll discover truth, community, and identity. We would love to see you there.
All right, high schoolers, come bring your friends. Thanks, Michael. All right, we're just about to get started. If you would do me a favor and stand up, say hi to somebody around you, and if you could just squeeze into the middle, it's ideal for people coming in to have those aisle seats available.
right, hello, 12:30 crowd. How do you like having an extra 15 minutes to get here? Is that good? Really? It's really good? I mean, you guys sleep in anyway and you come late. I love it. You get the best service of the day. We've already done it twice. We've figured out what we're doing, and you get the benefits of that. Here's what I tell you. The 9 o'clock had more people than we've ever had. The 10:45 actually had a little bit of room now, which is great. So here's the mission for 12:30. You know what it is? Let's fill this place by next weekend. No, I'm not kidding. Let's fill this place over time. Invite your friends, invite your neighbors. The Lions game, they'll be up by 3 touchdowns by the time we're done. Although we play tomorrow night. The Lions play tomorrow night this weekend. But, I mean, you're not going to miss much. So it's really something that you want to come to and bring your neighbors. By the way, my name is Dave Wilson, and I'm one of the leaders here. And today's a great week because we started just a short 2-week series last week. My son talked about work being a blessing from God, and God created us to work. And then today is all about rest, about taking a break from work so that you're better at work, or you're better in your life. Now, I don't know about you, but peace, calm, we sort of started the day with that sort of fun thing about, essential oils, whole thing. That whole idea is foreign to a lot of us. When's the last time you felt peaceful? Maybe today. I hope you did. Maybe because you come to the 12:30, you slept in this morning, and your heart's not beating fast right now, but most of you are just like me. It's like it doesn't matter what time we go, where we go, we're still rushing, and we need a chance to just take a moment, take a breath. And so we're going to take a moment right here before I get back up to speak and just give you a chance to take a rest. You're going to hear songs, music, another song. You can sing, you can enjoy this moment, but just stop for a second. Take a deep breath. And we're going to sing about peace that's available to us. To anybody who follows Christ, he gives us the peace to have stillness in the middle of a storm. That's impossible if we're rushing all the time, but if we stop and rest for a second, we can have that peace. So, Father, I pray that right now, right here, so many of us need just a chance to take a break and rest for a moment. So, God, I pray you'd visit us, you'd meet us, that we'd experience your presence, your power, your peace that's beyond anything the world can give us, your peace, even right here, right now, in Jesus' name.
the quiet silence. Have we forgotten the intimate, the eternal conversation between Creator and creation? By His breath, the infinite and infinitesimal all became. By His word, all held together. But we can hardly hear. We can hardly hear Him. It's the violence of sound, the earth rattling beneath our feet, the breakneck speed of things, brutalizing the senses. The great designer's work rearranged into a speck to make something, anything. Has desensitization become our only defense against the everything that elbows for our attention? So we anesthetize the senses to stop seeing, hearing, feeling it all. Because we just can't see, hear, and feel it all. But we are drawn by a whisper so that we might hear and retune the senses as He waits for our response. Speak, I'm listening. Speak, we're listening.
God of creation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder of life. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. In the vapor of your breath, the planets fall. If the stars were made to worship, so will I can see your heart in everything you've made. Every burning star, a signal fire of grace. If creation sings your praises, so will I. God of your promise, you don't speak in vain, a syllable empty or void. For once you have spoken, all nature in silence follow the sound of your voice. And as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch your breath, evolving in pursuit of what you said. If it all reveals your nature, so will I can see your heart in everything you say. Every painted sky, canvas of your grace. If creation still obeys you, so where you lost your life so I could find it. If you left the rain behind you, so will I can see your heart in every time. Every part designed, every part born. If you gladly chose surrender, so will I can see your heart in a million different ways. Every precious one, the child who died to save. If you gave your life to love them, so will I. Like you would again 100 billion times. But what measure could amount to your desire? You're the one who never leave the one behind.
Tell you what, I love that song. I really do. I didn't plan on playing it today. Our guitar player got sick after the last service, so they said, can you fill in and play it? So, but I know the song because I played it so many times in my bedroom and in my office and in my workout room. I'm not kidding. The first time I heard that song so well, I probably 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago. I don't know how long it is, but I remember when I first heard it. I mean, it was so beautifully written. You just experienced it. It's just such a song of truth and life and worships. If all of creation sings your praises, so will I. I don't know if you listen to the words, but man, the first time I heard it, I was like, I'm going to preach a sermon on that song. Not today, but on that song, because it's the entire plan of God. The entire gospel is in verse 1, 2, and then finally in 3, where it goes from creation to you and me. It's really beautiful. And so we just got to experience a moment to just sort of go, I need to go vertical. I need to stop and rest for a minute. Maybe this is the first time you did all week. I hope this isn't the first time, but for some of you, you haven't done this all week. And it's a chance to walk in here and just go, I need to settle my heart. I need to settle my soul. I carried a lot of stuff in here, and I've forgotten who we're worshiping and how great and majestic he is, and that he is actually the one who can take care of the stuff I've carried. And he can give me a peace that nobody or no thing or nothing on this planet can give me. And we just stop to say, I need to remember that. And today is all about that. The funny thing is, not funny at all, really. When I was singing Peace Be Still, and when I was even walking up here just now and talking about rest, I put my phone, because it was back there, in my pocket. And guess what's been going on while I've been talking to you? Bzz, bzz, bzz. I don't know what they are. I don't really want to care. Want to know. But all I know is that when my phone is buzzing in my pocket, what's happening to my focus? It's like right here. And that's the exact opposite of what we want to happen today. It's like, here's what I encourage you to do if you need to do it. Put your phone away today. If you're taking notes on it, take notes on it. That's what I do during sermons. I take notes on everything I ever hear because I want to learn it and remember it, and I want to pass it on. I usually email it to people that God's put in my care that I can impact from this message. But I tell you what, when I'm taking notes on a sermon or whatever, a text will come in or an alert will come in. Detroit Lions just gave up and then next thing you know, you're diverted off, and it's like, oh my gosh, what we're talking about today is a focused moment or moments in your life where you rest undistracted and go vertical. In fact, Father, I'm going to pray. Lord Jesus, I pray you speak. Even now, in the next few minutes, Lord, when you speak and not allow us to be distracted, help our minds and our hearts and our soul, our bodies here, but help our soul and mind, our emotions to be here as well, and that we would focus on who you are and really the gift you've given us to live life the way you've designed us to live. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Well, here's the amazing thing about our culture, and it's probably true in a lot of cultures, but I know it's definitely true in American culture. We are a hurried, fast-paced culture. Am I right? We go fast, and we want to go fast. yesterday was a microcosm of my life. My wife's having a shower, baby shower for Cody, my youngest son, who preached here last week. His wife, Jenna, they're having a baby in December, so they have a baby shower, which means a bunch of women are coming to my house, and I don't need to be there. And I found out that my alma mater, Ball State, was playing at Notre Dame, so I'm like, I called up a couple of my buddies, and they're all going to be there, so I jumped on my motorcycle yesterday at 8 a.m. I rode it to Notre Dame at probably, I won't tell you, I broke the speed limit the entire way there, all right, and got to the game, and we had a great time catching up and telling each other how great we were 40 years ago. I can't believe it's been 40 years ago. I threw 4 touchdowns. No, it was 8 touchdowns that game. You know, it's just everything gets bigger and bigger. Then we went to the game, and I jumped on my bike and drove faster than the speed limit all the way back and got home last night at 9 p.m. And like, what am I preaching on this weekend? Rest. It's like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, I knew what I was preaching on, but I don't want to think about it till last night because it's like, that's the way life is, right? I remember going to Grand Rapids, Holland area for a vacation a couple years ago, and I was so perturbed the first few days I was there. You know why? Everybody there drives the speed limit. And I'm not kidding. I'm like, what are they doing? They're going like 45, and it's like, it's a 45 zone. Well, that's stupid. I go right around them. I'm on vacation, and I can't slow down. So there's a thing called, you probably know this, there's actually a diagnosis called hurried sickness. You heard about it? Hurried sickness, that you're always anxious, you're always in a hurry, you're never able to wait. In fact, the slogan of people that have hurried sickness is, I hate to wait. I hate to wait. It rhymes. It's really easy to remember. I hate to wait. Anybody hate to wait? I'm that guy. I hate to wait. I don't like waiting anywhere. I'm not going to Cedar Point if I got to wait. I'm only going there when nobody else is there. I mean, it's just the way I do life. And so I think some people in here have hurried sickness, so we're going to find out. I made up a little quiz last minute. I was hurried, but at 8 a.m. I wrote down some symptoms of hurried sickness in my symptoms, and I want to find out who's the most restful person in the 12:30 service. So everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. All right? And so here's how it's going to work. When I read a symptom that describes you, and by the way, don't hit your spouse or somebody else. You better be sitting right now. Just you, and you got to be honest, you sit down. If this is you, sit down, and we'll see who's left standing at the end, and that's the most restful person in the room. First one is this. When you're listening to someone talk, have you ever nodded faster so that they'll talk faster? Anybody? Yeah, there's a bunch of people going down right now. By the way, I would be sitting already, okay? If you come up to talk to me after, I'll be like, yeah, okay. You know, you nod faster and they talk faster and then it's over quicker. So that's one. But we still got a lot of people standing. So how about this? You've done work or email or social media or anything on your digital device, your phone, while you're sitting on the toilet. All right? There goes half the room. Half the room. You sit down and you're like, I got 5 minutes, or some people got 20 minutes. I'm going to do some work here, right? Now, don't look at the people that just sat down, but don't get a visual. That's just a bad one. That's a bad one. But a lot of people went down on that one. And by the way, I'd be down on that one as well. Third one, you have stood in front of your microwave at some time and said, hurry up. It's like you looked at your watch or something. Yeah, it's a microwave. Seriously. Some of you are old enough to remember that microwaves weren't a thing. And it's doing it in 30 seconds and we're still not fast enough, right? That's hurried sickness. How about this? You have actually walked out or maybe ran out of a Kensington service during the closing song to beat the traffic. Come on, be honest here. You're like, I don't have time for this. If I leave right now, I can be, look at you. You guys are still up. Now, some of you are lying, and that's sinning right now. I'm telling you. That is it. How about this? You go to the grocery store, and as you're coming up to the counter, the grocery counter, all the different lanes, you decide which lane you're going to pick based on an equation you do in your head. How many people, how many items in their cart, and how old they are, right? I've done this, man. It's like, I'm going here. And by the way, I do the same thing at stoplights. It's like, how new is the car? How fast is the car? And by the way, isn't it always wrong? You're like watching the other line go. That's the other sign of hurry sickness. You're always comparing where you would have been if you had chosen the other line, right? There's still some people standing. Let's see if we can get you. Have you ever knocked on the fast food window and said, hurry up? Fast food. Fast food. That's why it's called fast, and it's still not fast enough. Or have you ever done this? When they say, hey, sir, could you just pull up? We'll bring your food out to you. In the fast food line, you're at McDonald's, and they say, have you ever done that? Come on. Nobody? I've actually gone, you know, right over here at Culver's, and Joe goes to our church, and I'm like, I got to wait like 38 seconds for food? All right, you guys are just like, you're just like saints. How about this one? When getting undressed, have you ever saved time by flipping your underwear up in the air with your foot and catching it. Anybody? See who goes down on that one. That's actually a Seinfeld one, right? All right, here's the last one. I guarantee we're going to have some people still standing. Have you ever gotten in a wreck while you're texting? Not in a car, I mean just walking. You're walking through the hall, walking through school, and you bump into somebody, maybe not a bad wreck, but you sort of have it. Anybody? All right, so these people that are still standing, they're a bunch of liars, or they're really sort of restful, peaceful people. You know what's really interesting? That is interesting. That has happened. I'm not kidding. That has happened 3 services in a row. Very few adults are still standing at this point, mostly kids. Which, you know what that means? When they're adults, they're not going to be standing, I bet. And that's really scary to think it becomes something we grow into and we become faster and faster. That's bad. By the way, those of you still standing, you win. You get a free coffee. Decaffeinated free coffee. You can sit down, but you get a free coffee. After the service, go out there. If you don't like coffee, you get a free Mountain Dew. I don't care what you get. Just don't make your life any faster than it is. But it is interesting that as we grow older, we get faster and more anxiety. And I just wrote a sermon that we're going to do in November called The Surprising Things That God Loves. And one of them, I just thought of this, one of them's laughter. God loves laughter. And you know what was interesting when I was writing that sermon? We write them months ahead of time. I did a study on how many times a day adults laugh and how many times a day children laugh. And they just showed it. Children laugh 500 times a day, adults 15. Isn't that scary? And you know one of the reasons? We're going to talk about that in another service. But one of the reasons I think we laugh less and have less joy, I'll tell you why. It's connected, folks. We never rest. We go, go, go. We push, push, push. We're in a hurry, hurry, hurry. We stack meeting on top of meetings. We even know when we put them in our calendar, there's no way I can get from this to this on time. And so we're anxious in this meeting, it's going along, and then this one's waiting for us, and we're running to play. And here's the amazing thing about our culture. Our culture celebrates that. Dude, I worked 85 hours this week. Way to go, man. You get some bank? Yeah, I made bank. All right, way to go. Get a bigger house, faster car? Yeah. Another woman? Yeah. It's like our culture celebrates it. If you said this, I took a day off this week, they'd be like, loser? Why would you take a day off? Don't you have anything to do? You lose your job? No, I'm good. I actually decided. That's like a foreign concept. But we're in a 2-week series. It's done today. Last week, Cody talked about work is a blessing from God. We think it's a curse. No, God made us to work, and when we work, there's actually blessings that come in our own life and also for others. But then the other side of work life is there's a thing called rest. And I'll tell you something. God never designed you and me to live a hurried sickness life. We're laughing and having fun about it, but I'm telling you something. You know this. You don't need me to tell you this. Doctors will tell you this. Psychologists will tell you this. If you never take a break, if you never really, truly, regularly, not just once in a while, but regularly rest, what will happen? Your body falls apart. You'll have anxiety and stress, and your emotions fall apart. By the way, that contributes to relationships imploding. You start screaming at people in anger, and you don't even connect the dots that this anger is basically coming. There's a lot of things that contribute, but a lot of it's coming because I am overloaded and overworked, and I never take a break, and I just said something I now have to go back and apologize and ask forgiveness to from my spouse or my kids or my neighbor or my boss or my friend. I don't know where that came from, and I can tell you where it came from. It came from the fact you never do what God commanded you to do. Because here's the amazing thing. God created a practice, a discipline, a habit before you and I were ever made. And he said, I'm going to give you a gift that if you obey me in this area, it will literally make your life better. And the first time he mentions it is very early in the Bible. It's in the second book of the Bible, Genesis and the book of Exodus. It's all about the nation of Israel being freed from 430 years of slavery to the Egyptians, to Pharaoh. And now they're free. And God gives them some commandments. And look what he says in Exodus chapter 20. He says, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. Now, we misinterpreted this word holy. It means like, oh, I have to do nothing but religious things all day. No. The word holy means set apart. It means this one day should be different than the other 6. Now, I'm going to show you in a minute. It's going to be different for each one of us what holy looks like or what keeping the Sabbath is. But he says 6 days you work, 1 day you don't. God's equation is 6/1, 6/1, not 7/7, 6/1. You don't go 24/7, you don't go 365. He says every 7 days you take 6 and work and 1 off. And he says, keep it holy, set apart. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord. Sabbath means rest. Intentional choice, rest to the Lord. On it you shall not do any work, neither you or your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigners residing in your towns. What's he saying? Take 1 day a week, rest. Rest. And for decades, probably hundreds of years, the church has gotten this all wrong. It's like, it's got to be Sunday. No, you get in the New Testament, you realize it doesn't matter what day. It's not a day. It's a principle. It's not Sunday for me. I don't know if you noticed right now, I'm working. I'm working right now. You may be resting. This is not my Sabbath. I could not take a Sabbath today. He's like, oh, I'll just take it when you're done. I don't get done till 2 o'clock, right? And, for years I go to the Detroit Lions sideline and I'm working there. So Monday's my Sabbath. And by the way, I am very good at preaching Sabbath and not doing it. I'll get an email, I'll get a text, I'll get an important thing, and next thing you know, Monday's gone and I worked all day. Well, I'll take it. I won't take it. And you go week after week, and guess what? That leads to breakdown. Preachers and ministry staff are very good at preaching Sabbath and not doing it, but I don't think you're much better. And so he says, rest from your work. What's that mean? It could mean different things to different people. Sabbath means rest. Whatever refuels you, whatever refreshes you, whatever gives you energy back, do that for 24 hours. Don't do your work. Do something that just refreshes you. We're all different. We're wired differently. Steve Andrews' family and the Wilson family for over 30 years have taken vacations together every year over in Grand Haven. That's what we're talking about, over in Spring Lake. And every year we go there. You know what Steve Andrews likes to do to rest? Anybody know him well? He likes to sit and read a book. Actually, he likes to lay on a lounger by the water, the lake, and read a book. Guess what Dave Wilson likes to do for rest? I like to get on a boat or behind a boat in a tube, going as fast as you can pull it, and throw me all the way into the thing. And if I flip over and lose a leg and hair, that's awesome. I'm not kidding. Sometimes I'll drive the boat and flip you all over, and I'll get on a wakeboard or a jet ski, on a motorcycle. I like to just run hard and fast, and believe it or not, when I'm done, Ann's like, what'd you do? You're all refreshed. I'm like, I just got pulled through a lake at 50 miles an hour, through the water, and I feel great. Now, for some of you, it'd be like, that would be the worst day off ever. I get it. We go to this vacation. This happened for 30 years. Steve would get there. He'd get the book. He'd get the lounger. And he'd go, Dave, take my kids on the boat. And all the Andrews kids would follow Mr. Wilson onto the boat, and we'd go. And he's not making me do something I don't want to do. He knows this fills me up. It doesn't fill him up. He's never been on that boat. We go by the house. There's Steve. They're like, reading his novel. It's just awesome. It's like, that's refreshing to him. This is refreshing to me. Some of you are like me. Some of you are like Steve. What we just did and what we're going to do at the end of the service, there's going to be a little more solitude, and there's going to be big, so that you can be refreshed either way. But here's the principle. God gave us a gift called the Sabbath. Now, some of you know what I read to you out of Exodus 20 is part of what? Anybody know what Exodus 20 contains? The 10 Commandments. You've heard of those, right? So think about this. God gives his people 10 commandments, 10 principles. What's he doing? He's saying, if you want to experience life to the fullest, do these 10. 8 of them are thou shalt nots, 2 of them are thou shalls. This is a thou shalt. Thou shalt remember the Sabbath, set it apart as holy. Thou shalt honor your mother and father. The others are don't do this, but do this. Now think about this. If you're God, have you ever thought about this? And you're like, I have only 10 that I can give my people. Actually, it was 15. Moses coming down, he dropped one of the tablets, so it was 10. That's anyway, from a movie. Anyway, there's 10. But think of it, you're God, and you're only going to give your people 10. Let me be honest with you. Do you think Sabbath makes the top 10? I would have never put Sabbath in the top 10. It's a good principle. It's important. The most important of 10 things in the universe for my people to do, that's how important it is to God. This isn't added on later. This is in the top 10. If you want to live life, you have to do this. And if you don't, there will be bad consequences. And many of us are experiencing that even in our life right now. So God's giving you a word today to say, I'm speaking to you. You need to learn. Actually, you need to choose to rest. It's really interesting. I wrote a big idea. It's just this simple. The whole day is about this. Life works best when we rest. It rhymes. How can you forget that? Best and rest. Life works best when we rest. But then I was thinking, oh, it isn't just one rest a year. It's regularly. It's weekly. So I added that word. So I'm going to make you say it with me so we can say it. But when you say regularly, you got to say it like this. Life works best when we regularly take a rest. Life works best when we regularly, so you'll highlight regularly. So it's every week, all right? Take a rest. You ready to do it? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Life works best when we see, take a rest. Life works best when we take a rest. So that's true. Now here's the thing. You all said it, laughed about it. Are you going to do it? Yes. I hope you do, because most of us say it in church, go out there and live all week long. Now here's the amazing thing. When Jesus comes into the scene in the New Testament, he lives out this principle of the Sabbath, but he redefines it. In fact, some of you know this. He got in trouble multiple times because they said he worked on the Sabbath. Because what the Jews did is they took the law and they added things to it. They had unbelievable laws about it. It's not in the law, but they added over 600 requirements. Like you can't pick up, if your animal falls in a ditch, you cannot reach down and pick them up on the Sabbath. Why? That's work. Let them lay there. So Jesus heals a man's hand on the Sabbath, and they say he violated the Sabbath. And Jesus is like, wait, you guys are missing the whole point. I healed a man. I did good on Saturday. That's not against the Sabbath. And they're like, yes, it is. And then Jesus said in Mark 2:27, here's what he said. He said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. I always tell you, read the Bible, read it clearly. What's he saying? He's saying God gave you a gift for you. You're not made for this day. The day is made to bless you. It's a gift. Are you going to receive it or not? Are you going to get nitpicky about, can I mow my lawn on Sunday? If it brings you life, mow your yard. My wife loves to mow her yard. I married the greatest woman in the world. She literally likes to mow yard. She loves to clean cars. I'm not kidding. She'll be like, I can't wait. I'm going to go out and clean a car. I'm like, yes, you are. Go, honey. And she just gets life out of that. I'm like, oh my gosh, a lot of people would call that work. To her, it's refreshment. She does it on Sunday. She does it on her day off. It's crazy, and I'm the beneficiary of it, but it's really good. Life works best when we regularly take a rest. Now, let me show you a picture. I got a picture of something. I want to ask you a question. What do you think I have in common with this image? Oh, there it is. Why does everybody say bald? That's not my point. I never even thought about that. I can even put my hand. Look, it's moving on me. Hey, will it come back? Oh, yeah. I've never done this before. Whew. Wow. This is a new technology we got going here. No, here's what you don't know about a bowling pin, which I didn't know either. Well, the first times I preached on this, 25 maybe years ago, somebody in a meeting said, did you know that they rest bowling pins at the bowling alley? I'm like, yeah, right. So you think I'm kidding? Go across the street and ask. And there's a bowling alley right by our Troy campus. I went across the street on Square Lake. I went in there. I said, hey, there's this rumor. You guys rest bowling pins. He goes, yeah, let me show you. We go back behind all the lanes. There's all these pins on these shelves. I go, seriously, what are you doing? He goes, when we take the pins off the alley, put them on a shelf for a week, or a month, or maybe 2 months, we put them back on, they pop, they jump, because they get life from rest. I'm like, no, they don't. He goes, dude, this is my business. Trust me. We have bowlers that come up and say, you rested those pins, didn't you? Yep. They jump. They get life from rest. We just sang, if all creation praises you, so will I. If all creation finds life from rest, so will I. See, if that's the way wood works, what about you? You wonder why you don't have life? When's the last time you rested? It brings life. I have a bowling pin. You can put that down. I have a bowling. They're going to leave that up the whole service. This is awesome. I have a bowling pin in my office. I asked him if I could take one. Can I have one of those? So I'd never forget this Sabbath principle. And there it sits in my office, and I'm sitting there looking at it going, I should do that once in a while. That thing's there for me to look at and rest, and I just keep going, go. But that's the principle. So here it is, 2 thoughts, and then an application. It's just very simple. Here's 2 thoughts about Sabbath that I just want to sort of teach and remind you of. The first one is this. When you choose Sabbath, you are saying, I'm no longer a slave. I wrote it this way. Choosing Sabbath says, I'm no longer a slave. Now, every word I picked there is very important. Choosing means what? It doesn't just happen. Sabbath, rest, vacation, breaks will not happen unless you intentionally do what? Put it on your calendar. You have to choose Sabbath. You have to choose to rest. The culture doesn't do it. Most people aren't going to allow you to. You have to say, I'm going to build my calendar different. Here's how most people build their calendars. You ready? And I bet you do this. Most people do it. We fill our calendars up, chock, full. Meetings, work, you name it. Kids sports, oh my gosh, school. It's all on there. And then we're like, I need a break. Where can I fit it in? And we stick a little thing here or maybe what if, I know this is ridiculous thoughts, right? What if God is saying, flip it? Pull out your calendar for the year, pull out your calendar for the week, pull out your calendar for the day, and say, where am I going to rest? Right here. Now let's build the rest. Wow, nobody does that. That's called intentionally choosing Sabbath. And when you do that, you are saying, I'm not a slave. To what? My schedule. To my need to have more money, to have more square footage. All that stuff's nothing wrong with any of that. But if that's something you're a slave to and you never stop working so I can get the next dollar, the next car, the next square footage, guess what? You are still a slave to something that you don't need to be a slave to. Here's where it comes from. You go to the book of Deuteronomy. I won't read you the whole thing, but when the nation of Israel is now out on their own, they're no longer slaves, what does God say to them? He says, remember the Sabbath, because before you didn't have a choice. Why? They were slaves to Pharaoh. They were brick makers, and they never got a day off. Never. Why? Because they had to obey their master, and the master said, you don't get Saturday off. You don't get Sunday off. You get nothing off. You work for me. Now God's saying, remember this. You're not slaves anymore. You're free. So I'm telling you, as free people, use your freedom to choose Sabbath that says, I am no longer a slave. I'm not a slave to my calendar. I'm not a slave to anybody. I actually am in control of my calendar, and I choose to do what most people don't do because I want to live the way God wants me to live. I choose to put Sabbath here. I choose to take Saturday off or take Monday off. When we went to Israel with the vertical marriage trip, we took 20 couples over there just several months ago. I had never seen Sabbath like that. You go to Israel, you see Sabbath. Nobody does anything Friday, Saturday. Nobody. We went to a Shabbat dinner at a Jewish home. And they invited us in their home. They showed us what they do every Friday night. It's actually beautiful. It was so beautiful. We just did one here with some of our friends on a Sunday night. We said, we're going to copy this thing where they stop the world. They have a really good meal together. They have all these symbols of lighting candles and speaking life over their spouse and speaking life into their kids and taking communion together. It's a time to stop, go vertical and horizontal, and do Shabbat. It's amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, they take this seriously. We say it, don't do it. You got to choose Sabbath, and when you do, you're saying, I am not a slave anymore. I am free, and I use my freedom to invest in my walk with God and invest in my relationships and invest in my life so that I will be healthy for many, many years. If you don't do that, you will not be healthy physically, emotionally, or spiritually. And then the second thought is just as simple. Choosing Sabbath also says, I'm no longer afraid. I'm no longer a slave. I have freedom to do this, and I'm going to choose to build Sabbath in my calendar. But this one says, I'm no longer afraid. What's that mean? This is what's crazy. When God said to the Israelites, do not work one day a week, when God said, this is amazing, I won't even get into it, but he said, every seventh year, not now week, every seventh year, do you know what he said? Let your crops, let your land rest for a year. Now, you got to put yourself in the Bible and go, wait, they're going, wait, time out, God. I'm a farmer. My life comes from this land. I provide for my family food and income from this land. You're telling me I'm not going to work the land for a year? And God says, trust me, I'll provide. And they're going, I don't know if I trust you. And God goes, remember the manna story? And they're like, remind me, God. You guys know that one, right? They needed manna every day, food every day, and God said, I'm not going to give it to you on the Sabbath, but I'll give you a double portion on the day before the Sabbath. The Sabbath will take care of it. And they go, yeah, right, God, and he did. Every week, he did that, and they saw him provide. Every seventh year, they obeyed him, and he provided. So what does choosing Sabbath mean? It says, I'm no longer afraid that I won't be able to take care of my life or provide for my family. I am actually going to take a breath, a rest, a Sabbath, a refreshment, refueling, and I'm going to trust God to provide. And he will. And if you've never done it, you'll only hear stories from people like me and others. But when you start doing it, obeying his command, you start seeing him show up in ways you never thought he would. I remember when we started Kensington, I would take speaking engagements for the honorarium, because I wasn't making any money here, to provide for my family. And many times I realized this is taking me away from my family when I should be there. And I had to say, I'm not going to take this speaking engagement. God, you're going to have to provide another way. What was it? Trust. And God did. In over 40 years of ministry, I've never not seen God provide, many times miraculous ways. It's the same thing we do with our money. People don't understand, why would I give 10% of my money away to God? Because you're trusting God will bless you even doubly in other ways, and he does. 40 years I've tithed to God, and 40 years I've never missed a house payment, and there have been times I'm laying there like, God, it's going to be a miracle this time. There's no money, and I gave some away. What am I thinking? I'm an idiot. I should have saved that, and God's like, trust me, manna is coming. And I'm here to say, he's done it every time. You want a good example of this? Think about this. I love flying out of Detroit Metro because I love going to Chick-fil-A. Now, there's one in Somerset, but there wasn't one there years. The only one you really had was there, one in Oakland U. So it's great. You go down there, Terminal A, down at the bottom end. You guys know what I'm talking about? And get Chick-fil-A, man. I don't get it very often. But if you fly out on Sunday, I always forget. I run down there. I'm like, oh, they're closed. It's like, what's wrong with you, Chick-fil-A? It's just one day of the week. Stay open. But they're closed, and they always have been and always will be on Sunday. Why? Because their founder, Truett Cathy, came from a 7-day-a-work job life, and he said, this is not healthy, and God commanded us to be still one day a week. So he says, my business, when it launches, Chick-fil-A will never be open on Sundays, and they never have been. Now, here's a question. Have you ever wondered what they miss in terms of income by closing one day a week? I did. I looked it up. There's a cost. They lose $47.5 million a year to be closed one day a week. And they say it's worth it because God will provide in other ways. And they don't just do it for their employees. You hear interviews and you watch even their commercials. They say, we do it for our employees. We say to our employees, stay home. Be with your family. Invest in your life and refresh yourself. But they say, we do it for the public too. You need to be still one day a week. Don't come. Don't come here. We won't be here. What's even more beautiful, and I'm not saying Chick-fil-A is the best restaurant in the world, although I love their chicken, but when you study their model, it's like, wow, that's pretty interesting. They do some things on Sunday. They've recently done some things that you might have read about. Like it isn't a legalistic law. Like when that gay bar in Orlando had all those deaths that came in, guess what Chick-fil-A did? They showed up on a Sunday with chicken nuggets for all the first responders and said, thank you for being here. When the floods were in Houston, guess who showed up on Sunday? Chick-fil-A employees came and said, here you go. They were working on a Sunday. Why? Because it was serving the community. But other than that, they're closed and they trust God to make up the difference. What about you? You're thinking, I got to take that business call. I got to work that day. Everybody else is. God's saying, I gave you a command. Violate this. There will be bad consequences. Do it. You'll be freer than you've ever been, and you will learn to trust me like you've never seen me show up. So I got 4 minutes. Let me give you this real quick. How do you do this? I'll say it real quick because I've said this many times. I use a phrase I heard from Rick Warren years ago where he talks about how to build your spiritual life. And he said, here's what you need to do daily, weekly, and annually. He says, DDWWAA. Anybody ever listen to me long? It's in our marriage book. You get our marriage book, it's in there. All right? DD, D squared, W squared, A squared. Anybody know what it means? DD stands for? Somebody knows. Way to go. You listen. Do you know what it is? Divert daily. What's it mean? Once a day, pull away, divert from your rushiness, divert from your job, and do what? Divert and go vertical. Once a day. He's saying once a day, divert daily. You want to grow in your walk with God? This better not be the only time you focus on God in the week. Because let me tell you, if this is the only time you focus on God, here's what happens. You get in the car and you start critiquing what we gave you because we are the ones that feed you, right? And you're not feeding yourself, so it's like you're an infant. Here's the bottle, you know, right? You're adults. Start feeding yourself daily. When you feed yourself daily, with a rest time, it could be 15 minutes. You walk in here, I'm not kidding, totally different. You don't need anything from us. You walk in here full. And we say, let's sing this song. You're like, yeah, I've been singing it all week. Let's go. This is awesome. But when it's not, it's like, what are we singing this song for? It's like, oh my gosh, this isn't what it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to feed you. We're supposed to make you hungry. And so I'm trying to say, once a day, divert daily. I never start my day anymore waking up, and I used to do this, open up email or Wall Street Journal or Free Press, like, that's just depressing. What a bad way to start your day. I start my day diverting daily by opening up the Word of God, listening to worship music, and praying. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Ann was here in the last service. I've watched my wife for 15 years go through the one-year Bible 15 years in a row. I'm like, honey, you've been through it like 8 times. You don't know that book? She goes, oh, I love the word. It brings life. I walk through the kitchen, there she is. She's got her journal, she's got her Bible. I'm like, there she is, diverting daily. What's happening? Just like you and I say, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and work out physically. You think your soul isn't the same thing? You don't work out spiritually every day? Trust me, you'll be depleted just like your body. It's like, so you don't have to do it at lunch, you can do it at night. I don't care when you do it. It's like, man, what would it look like to build your life around sitting? We've been talking about this at midweek, listening to God. I ended the last midweek. I ended last time I preached on Sunday asking this question. I'm going to do it again today. God, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? And you sit and listen, and then you go do it. When's the last time you did that on a daily basis? God will literally change your life. I'm reading this book called The Circle Maker because my word for the year was prayer. This is so funny. I'm talking about rest, and I'm talking about fast as I can because I got a lot to get through in the last minute and 20 seconds. I don't want to go over. So here's the thing. I read this book. And he tells this story, Mark Batterson's pastor in Washington, about speaking at a church in Birmingham, Alabama, where they have this thing called the Dream Center. Dream Center is a place where they go out in the street and help people. They help prostitutes and pimps, and they open their doors, and they love on them and lead them to Jesus. And he said he was down there, and he said, man, I want to do something like this back in D.C. And he said he met this woman, Lisa, who was a former attorney who left her job to work at the Dream Center. And she said she was getting up to go to work, and she does this every day. It's a regular part of her pattern. She spends time with Jesus before she gets in her car and drives to work. What's she doing? Diverting daily. Sabbath, rest, listening. And she goes, I'm getting ready to get off my knees and go to work. And she goes, I hear almost an audible voice. It wasn't audible, it was a nudge. I talked about it this Wednesday night. How does God speak? Sometimes through the Spirit, sometimes through the Word, sometimes through people, sometimes like the events, the pews, remember, right? So she says, I sense that God's saying to me, take woolly socks to work. And she's like, she literally goes, woolly socks, right? And she just gets ready for work. And she hears again, take woolly socks, put them in your purse, take them to work. Okay, sometimes you hear the weirdest things, right? She goes, okay, I'm learning to obey these nudges. She puts woolly socks in her purse, goes to work. There's a prostitute passed out on the front door of the Dream Center from the cold. She picks her up, gets her into the warmth. She starts to come back. She starts talking to her, and she says, what can we do for you? Is there anything you specifically really need? Guess what she says? She doesn't say socks. She says woolly socks. And Lisa's like, oh my gosh, here you go. See what happens when you just take a moment to spend time with God and listen to him? You get to see how big he is, how he cares about the little things. I'm not going to say you're going to hear a woolly socks thing, but you're going to get to know him, and here's what he's going to do. He's going to fill you in such a way. So it's like you tithe a part of your day to Jesus every day. Now, you just heard me say the word tithe. Guess what that means? I'm going to take the offering, yes. And I am, and we're laughing about it because it's a principle. It's like take a part of your income and give it back to God. Take a part of your day and go vertical. It's called Sabbath. It's called rest. It's called refresh. It's called refueling. So as the pouches come by right now, the usher's just going to pass them as I keep going. Just know this. There are people that aren't going to put anything in this pouch. Why? Because they've already decided this is something they want to do online, and it comes out every month because they believe so much in the God who has saved their lives that they say, this is not something I'm going to do haphazardly or every once in a while. This is a habit, a discipline, just like Sabbath, that I'm going to build into my life, and I give back. Thank you for doing that. If you're a guest today or brand new, you don't have to give a dime. You're our guest. Go to the hub afterwards and find out where you plug in next. Okay, I got to do this really quick. So we got Divert Daily. WW stands for, how do you put Sabbath in principle? Withdraw weekly. It's literally the Sabbath principle. 1 day a week, intentionally withdraw from your calendar, from your schedule, and fill up. You're doing it right now. You're showing up at church, right? That's one way to do it. There's many other ways to do it. But I'd say once a week, put yourself in an environment where you can grow spiritually. By the way, does this apply to relationships? Let me tell you, married couples, 1 day a week, what? Go on a date. Seriously, you're like, what? Even after we're married? Yes. Go out once a week, especially if you've got little kids at home. Oh my gosh, you got snot and crumbs all over everything. You need to get out of the house and look at each other and actually have a conversation. That's called a date night. That's called withdrawal weekly. By the way, Divert Daily for married couples or couples in relationships is what? How about you talk once a day? What? We talk, no you don't. You watch TV, you never talk? Once a day talk, once a week go out, and then the last one is abandon annually. AA is abandon annually. What does that mean? Abandon annually means once a year, put yourself in an environment where you can grow spiritually. Guys, do we have something coming up for you? Yeah, it's called Man Up, October 12th through the 14th. We're going to be there for the whole weekend. Why do we do that? Once a year, we invite you to say, Put yourself in this environment, you'll grow spiritually. I'm telling you guys right now, if you haven't signed up for that right now, do it right now. I don't care if you listen to another word I say, pull out the app right now, sign up and go to Man Up. Here's what will happen. You'll come back a different man. I guarantee it. You'll come back a different man, because one of the things that's going to happen at Man Up, and women, it happens for Smash. There's a marriage conference coming to Detroit, November 9th through 11th. Marriages will be changed. That's once a year. You do a marriage tune-up. How many couples come up to me at a marriage conference and say, we haven't done this in 20 years? I'm like, I can tell you about your marriage. You got to do this every year. It's just the way it works. It's hard. You take your car in for a tune-up. You got to take your marriage and relationships in same way. But let me say this. Guys are going to come home from Man Up. Two things are going to happen. They're going to grow spiritually, but here's the big thing that's going to happen. They're going to connect with other men they probably never met, and they're going to come back here with some dudes they can do life with. So one of the best things you can do on a weekly basis is jump into a small group, men and women, couples, marriages, blended families, divorced families, kids, you name it. We have tables in the lobby today. You think we just put them up because we want to? No, we put them there as a gift. You were not made for small groups. Small groups were made for you. You start to connect weekly with some people at this church, and maybe you've never done it before. Let me tell you what will happen. You will start to grow like you've never grown before, and you will meet people in this church. A big church will become a small church. And then, like I said, once a year, man, pull away and refresh. Ann and I were sitting on a beach in Mexico. We go every year. Why? Because we've learned we need to pull our marriage away, sit on a beach, look at an ocean, and just relax. And we're sitting on these two loungers looking at the ocean, sun's coming down, and Ann turns to me several years ago, and she goes, marrying you, Dave Wilson, was the best decision I ever made. And I look at her and I go, you're right. I didn't say that at all. I turned to her and said, I feel exactly the same way. Now, we both know the best decision we ever made was Jesus. Second best decision was each other. Now, here's what I thought. After that, I thought, we don't say those kind of things to each other in the hurriedness of our kitchen or in our car. We're rushing. But when we're sitting going, a comment like that comes out. Why? Because God made us to work. And he also made us to rest. We work a lot more than we rest, but we need to rest a little bit so that we can come to life when we live. And so I want to end two ways. My guitar's way back there now. It's been bent down here the rest of the day. I'm going to go grab it. But there's this song that I heard on a Hillsong worship album probably, a year or so ago. It comes from a great passage in the book of Psalms. David wrote a psalm, Psalm 46. Some of you know this psalm. And in that psalm, it's one of the greatest commandments we could ever live. He says, be still, anybody know? And know that I'm God. Be still and know that I'm God. It's almost like he's saying, we forget or we lose this, but when you still yourself and you just go like this, okay, God, I'm going to go vertical. I'm just going to concentrate on you. We begin to remember again, he's God. And he's an amazing God. And he loves me. And so Hillsong wrote this simple little chorus. Actually, the bridge comes from Psalm 23, which says, surely good love and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. Yeah, we're not going to do this song for you. We're just trying to tease you with it. I'm like, let's just show them how beautiful this song is. And then later at a midweek or maybe a couple weekends, we'll do this. And I asked Ashley to come up here and help me sing because I'm not really a singer. I do my best, but it goes like this. Be still and know that the Lord is in control. Be still, my soul. Stand and watch as giants fall. I won't be afraid if you are near. You silence all my fears. I won't be afraid. You don't let go. Be still, my heart, and know. Surely love and mercy, your peace and kindness will follow me, will follow me. Surely love and mercy, your it out. Surely love and mercy, your peace and kindness will follow me. Will follow me. Surely love and mercy, your peace and kindness will follow me. Will follow me. Isn't it a beautiful song? It really is. It's one of those songs, you know, I hope you download it, learn it. We're going to start singing that here at Kensington. But here's the thing about that song. It's like sort of tender and peaceful, although Chris was throwing some nice little licks in there. But it's just sort of still. And it helps us to know. And for some of you, that's like, oh, that's the kind of music and the kind of worship song and the kind of the lyric that I just love. It stills my heart. And that's good. And I applaud you for that, because and sometimes that's exactly what I want to do for a day of rest or a moment of rest. But there's other times when the thing that, you know, lights me up and refreshes me, like I said, is getting on a boat and it's like singing loud and dancing. So we're going to end the day with a song called Glorious Day. You've been hearing us sing this a couple times. It's time for us not to sing it anymore. It's time for you to sing it with us, because it's a song that's all about the resurrection of Christ and what happens when we understand what he did. We run out of that grave that kept us in death our whole life, and it's like we run. And so it's a song. You stand up, you dance, you sing it out. You're going to learn it quick. You've already heard it a couple times. Get up, let's go. We're gonna refresh ourselves a little loud and a little big as we do this thing together. Let's go.
It was my turn till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my till I met you. 'Cause when you called my name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. Now your mercy has saved my soul. Now your freedom is all that I know. The old made new, Jesus, when I met you. 'Cause when you called my name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. Put your hands together. I needed rescue, my sin was heavy, the chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, Now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have the future, my eyes are open. 'Cause when you called my name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. Oh.
All right. It's a great way to walk out. I know some of you just got refueled and refreshed like me. Others, you need some solitude type thing. You find that this week daily, weekly, and then annually. But let me tell you something. As you walk out in the lobby, I'm not kidding. One of the best decisions you could make is to walk up to one of those tables, marriage, blended, singles, you name it, and say, what would it look like for me to connect on a weekly or monthly basis to grow in my walk with God? It'll literally change your life. Some of you need to come up and pray with somebody. Our prayer team's right here as well. And the next week, we start a series called not random acts of kindness, intentional acts of kindness. It's all about us, the church, being intentional to bless others. It's going to be a great, great series. 3 weeks about viewing people heart and hands. It's going to be great. You don't want to miss it. Next weekend. Anything else? Breakaway tonight, 4:30. All right? God bless you. See you next week. Have a great week. Go rest.